And welcome to the channel. It is a new day and you're watching a new episode of Vinland Saga. We're watching episode 18 today, Out of the Cradle. And after the last episode, I've been really curious about how Ashlad and Thorkel and Thorfinn, they are in this kind of complicated scenario right now. I'm really curious how they're going to get out of it. Without further ado, let's start watching. And before we start, don't forget that this is not a market substitute. Please support the anime through official channel.
見える。
Oof.
大丈夫だ。よく見てけばかわせる。当たらなきゃどんな武器もないのと同じだ。
That is true. There's a saying, right? Doing something illegal is not a crime. Getting caught is the crime. As long as you don't get caught. Look, everyone's excited.
くそ、切れねえ。下に鎖片が起きてやがる。
気に入ってたのに。俺の斧を恐れないか。同郷はまずまず。その辺は通るぜ譲りだな。
You know my father?
動物てめえ。父上の何なんだ。
お前何も聞いてないの？あいつも白状だな。
Or they're friends or something.
高貴な出だと聞いてる。
ヤルルなのはヘルガの血筋だ。トールズは剣の腕で成り上がったのさ。
何？
もっと聞きたい。
Ooh, mind games. Mind games.
聞きたかったらな。
Defeat me.
もう少し俺を楽しませることだぜ。
Yeah, you have to win. Win and I'll tell you.
楽しませてやってもいいけどな。口が聞ける程度に手加減すんのは難しいぜ。
小僧。腹痛い。大将に手加減するんだぞ。
Ooh. Ooh. They're laughing at his result, so
おかしいか。
yeah.
トルフィンは俺の認めた
Yeah.
戦士だ。笑うな。
Even though it sounds silly, because Thorfinn said it with so much conviction, Thorkel is like, okay, we should respect it.
トールズは俺より強かった。
The same thing, right? A lot of the times you'll see people doing silly things, but they're doing it with so much conviction. You almost feel this endearment towards them. You're like, okay, I respect it, even though I know that from a logical standpoint, it is not something I would do, but they're doing it with so much zeal, so much conviction, makes you wanna support them.
自分がまさしくトールズの子だと証明してみせろ。トルフィン。
Wow, Ash.
バカが君、死に戻ってきやがって。
If you ever end up in a scenario, I don't know why you would end up in this scenario, you should leave the arrow in. Okay, because it does more damage coming out than it does going in. Same goes for any kind of piercing object. Leave it in.
王子はどうなってやがる。
Leave it to medical professionals.
近くで戦の声がする。
Wake up, man. You just fell off a cart and
いい加減にしてくれ。他にすることはないのか。静かにしてくれ。
the naive. You're naive.
ないんだ。
You're naive. Closing your eyes doesn't change the reality. It just stops from seeing it.
まま寝ていたい。このままずっと
と殿下。
Egghead? It is Egghead.
ラグナル、お前
Shut up, dude. You know the answer.
これは夢なのだな、ラグナル。
At least has some logical sense.
別れを申し上げに参りました。
行くのか、僕を残して。僕一人でこんな世界で生きてゆけというのか。
Yes.
生きてゆけると思うの
So
か。
I'm assuming that the episode is going to be about him getting out of the cradle, getting out of the safety and safety and care of Ragnar. Let's see how he does. Like they say, right? A good parent's job is not to pamper their child. I mean, you obviously pamper your child. You give them love, give everything, but you prepare them for the world. That is the primary objective a parent should have.
私めはあなた様の教育係として失格で
At least he knows.
した。
At least in death he knows.
様をやるるとしてではなく、ごく普通
Even as a normal child, no. Nah. Even as a normal child, he is supposed to have the reasoning of an adult. He's supposed to understand how the world operates.
のそれこそ農民が我が子を育
Have you seen farmers? Have you seen how pragmatic and logical they are?
てるがごとくにしてまいりました。それが陛下のお望みではないと知りつつ、お許しください。
You basically wanted to pamper him and spoil him. That's what you did. And now we are facing the consequences of your actions, even after you're gone.
何がいけないの。
Goes to show you how important parenting is. It has an impact on someone else's life even when you're not around.
お前は父親陛下より僕自身の望みを汲んでくれた。オケになど生まれたくなかった。
Mm-hmm.
お前の子に僕はお前の子に生まれて
That is sad.
どんなに良かったかと。
殿下、嬉しゅうございます。殿下、
行かないで。お前が好きなんだ。
失って知ることがございます。
Mm-hmm.
あなた様はすでにお気づきでしょう。
ラグナル、
私めのことは夢でございます。
待て。
True.
もはや目覚める時が来たので
いや
す。
ラグナル、戻れ。戻れ。
Unfortunately, as depressing as that sounds, it is true that in life, a lot of the times you learn lessons after making mistakes and losing precious people and precious things in your life. That's just how it is. We don't realize the value of what we have while we have them.
お健やかに、殿下。
It's part of human nature.
ラグナル、
Now what does he do? Now. Hmm. Now what does the prince do in this scenario?
お体、痛みはございませんか。
あの者たちは殿下を得ようと争っているのです。あなたは勝者のものになります。
Pretty much.
神父であろうそなた、争いを止めぬのか。
How? How? You tell me how. How are they going to stop tens of Vikings from fighting?
止めようがありますか。死にたい者は死なせてやればよいのです。
That's not.
夢を見た。ラグナルの夢だ。別れを告げられた。
Mm-hmm.
死んでまで律儀な男だ。もうこの地上に私を愛してくれる者はいなくなった。
Mm-hmm.
それは大いなる悟りです。だが惜しい。ラグナル殿のあなたへの思いは愛ですか。彼はあなたの安全のために62人の善良な村人を見
Yeah.
殺しにした。殿下、愛とは何ですか。
しかしよ、手応えなかったな、こいつら。つい
うん
奴らにお目にかかるのは難しいよ。いつまで経ってもバルハラに行けやしねえ。まだ大社の決闘続いてんのか。まさか秒殺だろ。ならなんであんなに盛り上がってんだよ。
Torgal is obviously holding back because he wants to have fun.
なあ、俺も。おいおい、どうなってんだよ。やっちみ大将。
Mm-hmm.
いけんな。
Torgal is obviously holding back because he's having fun. He could have ended it by now if he wanted, but
マジかよ。あの大将がやられっぱなしじゃねえかい。あんな小僧に。いいぞトルフィン。お前にかなうやつは俺の手下に5人といないだろう。
also he's very good at taking advantage of his build in the fight.
手足の剣を狙うのは有効だ。ロンドンでは急所狙いで踏み込んで痛い目を見た。
Mm-hmm.
とどめは奴の動きを止めてからだ。
だがな、
In a situation like this, when you can only go for limbs, I feel like the most practical thing to do is to go for the knees. They're easy to get, easy to break, and not being able to walk is a very big disadvantage.
確かに強いが、お前の剣はなんかこう、
Mm-hmm. I mean, he just swings it. He has no technique.
戦士として完成するには何かが足りない。
Mm-hmm.
ならそいつ相手にコテンパンのてめえは何なんだよ。
See, he is too impulsive. He is too headstrong. He doesn't see what's happening. He does not understand that Thorkel is holding back. He could have sliced him in half by now.
そうさ、俺にも足りない。トールズのこのお前からならそれを学べると思ってたんだが。なあ、トルフィンよ。お前はどう思う？
Mm-hmm.
本当の戦士ってなんだ？
That is a deep question.
愛とは何かだと。
Mm-hmm. That is also an important
ラグ
question.
ナルは私を愛していなかったというのか。
はい。
ならば問うのは私
He
の
could say it's admiration.
ラグナルに愛がないのなら、正しく愛を体現できる者はどこにいるのだ。
そこにいますよ。ほら。
He loves fighting. His love for violence
彼は死んで、どんな聖者よりも
or
美
him.
しくなった。
I mean, it is a conversation to be had about different aspects of death, right? I'm not trying to make the conversation depressing, but now that the anime has brought it up, um I'm just trying to have a conversation on it, right? So the there is a school of thought, that school of science, you could say, that looks into and kind of researches the concept of death. Okay, it's called thanatology, which is named after Thanatos, that is the god of death. Not to be confused with god of dead. God of the dead and god of death are two different things. So Hades, Thanatos, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Let's not go into that. Okay, thanatology is the study of death, and it is a very, very fascinating concept from the science perspective, right? Because all this memory you're building, all these neural pathways you're building, all this energy surging through your body just goes away one day, right? But we know that there is the law of conservation in this universe, right? Everything is conserved. Everything is it just changes from one form to another. So where does our consciousness go? Because we are conscious animals. So where does that consciousness go? Right? That's a fascinating question. And in the branch of thanatology, a lot of time is spent on discussing the philosophical angle of death. A lot of people say death is sinful. A lot of people say death is beautiful. And a lot of people see it as an inevitability. A lot of people see it as something that we should try to stay away from. Some people it is something that we should accept and embrace, right? Um, the reason I'm bringing it up is this reminds me of a quote. It says, uh, "Death is a debt owed by all men." And when I say men, I am speaking in terms of philosophical literature, men, because a lot of early literature was written by men for men. There's a whole misogynistic angle in the literature aspect, but it is commonly believed that whenever old literature refers to men, it is speaking to humans in general, because that's just the way it is written. Right? So death is a debt owed by all men, and in that respect, death is seen as something beautiful, something serene. Right? In death you are peaceful. In death you are content. There is no desire. Um there is no entanglement to this life. Everything's gone, everything's forgotten. You are at peace. That this this line basically reminded me of that whole school of thought. I went on a whole ass tangent. Sorry.
愛そのものと言っていい。彼はもはや
Mm-hmm.
憎むことも奪うこともしません。彼はこのままここに打ち捨てられ、その肉を獣や虫に惜しみなく与えるでしょう。
Mm-hmm. The circle of life in the wild, right? There's a circle of life in the wild. So in the wild, a hare eats grass, a wolf eats the hare, um, an eagle or something hunts the wolf, or when naturally passes away and starts decomposing, a vulture will come and pick it up because they are scavengers. The bugs in the soil will turn it into nutrition. Just there is a natural cycle to things. So when you die, you become a part of the universe in that way.
これで一言半句の文句も言いません。死は人間を完成させるのです。
That is a school of thought that we are in a journey. We are in a journey as a human being. We are passing through life. And as we are passing through life, we are experiencing different things. We're collecting memories, we're collecting emotions, and we are yet incomplete. Right? For example, when you're writing a sentence, Sentence is going on. The sentence exists as you're writing it. But the sentence is only seen as complete when you put that period at the end of it. When you put that full stop at the end of it. Right? That is the concept of death. So only in death are you complete. Only in death are you perfection. Are you content? Are you at peace? Are you serene?
くそ。
わからんか。まあ気にすんなよ。そんなには期待してなかった。
姑息な手よ。
Shut up, dude. Why didn't you say it? You know what your dad said. Why didn't you tell him? Because it bothers you what your dad said.
愛の本質が死だというのか。
One way to put it.
ならば親が子を、夫婦が互いを。
That is a
ラ
good
グナルが
question.
私
So there are different forms of love, right? Like he just brought up the different forms of love. A love of a parent towards a child, love of a child towards a sibling, love of a person towards a significant other, love of the people towards their society, towards the surroundings, love of someone who towards the neighbor, love of someone towards their towards their pet, right? There are different forms of love. Who is to say which is true and which is not?
を大切に思う気持ちは一体なんだ。
差別です。王にへつらい奴隷に鞭打つことと大して変わりません。ラグナル殿にとって王子殿下は
Mm-hmm.
他の誰よりも大切な人だったんです。おそらく彼自身の命よりも。
Mm-hmm. Isn't that what being a parent is, though? No.
彼のあなたに対する心弱い思いは差別です。
You could say it. Love is a form of discrimination, right? Regardless of who it is. You love your child more than anyone. You love your siblings more than others. You love your significant other more than others. So it is a form of discrimination. You would do something for someone you love that you would never even think of doing for someone else. That is so. In its base sense, I guess you could say love is discrimination.
そうか。分かってきた。まるで
Mhm.
霧が晴れていくようだ。
あれ
見切られてるぞ。
That is smart. I don't think it was intentional, but that's good.
くそ。まだ浅い。分かってきた。この雪が愛なのだな。
そうです。
あの空が、あの太陽が、吹きゆく風が、木々が、山々が。なのに、なんということだ。世界が、神の御業がこんなにも美しいというのに。人間の心には
Mhm.
愛がないのか。
That comes down to your personal opinion, right? How do you feel about it? Even in nature, because they brought up the fact that the sky, snow, and the mountains exist, is that there are so many things that had to fall in the right place for us to exist, right? A Milky Way had to exist. The solar system had to be in the right place in the Milky Way galaxy. In the Milky Way galaxy, in the solar system, the sun had to be at the right age, at the right temperature. The right amount of planets had to form around it. The right amount of asteroids had to go through. The right amount of distance had to be between Earth and the sun for the Earth to be in the Goldilocks zone. Look, if you don't know, Goldilocks zone is the area around a star where the temperature is just right for life to exist, liquid water to exist, basically. So even after Earth came into existence, there were like singles. There were molecules. Then then there came single cell animals, uh, multicellular, etc., etc., etc. Through thousands and millions of years. Now we are here. I'm uploading this video, and you are watching it. I'm looking at you through the camera, right? So many things had to happen for us to exist. If you think about it, that is one of the reasons that I love cosmology so much. That I love astronomy so much. That it is fascinating to even think about, even if you are not interested in studying it, right? Yeah, I understand in comparison to how vast it feels, the world feels, how insignificant and trivial human emotions could feel, but in my opinion, um in my opinion, the intensity, even though it's trivial, the intensity of emotion um and doesn't even sit out, I think, right? It's the density, you could say. If there is something the size of a marble, but it's like very dense, and it's like that question, right? 1 kg of steel versus 1 kg of feathers, right? It's just the density. Even if it's smaller in size, it is dense.
私たちがこのような生き物になってしまったのは遠い祖先が
Ouch.
神に背き罪を犯したせいだと言われています。
Mhm.
私たちは楽園から追放されたのです。
Not holding back anymore, I see.
おい、どこ行ったの？おい、俺って。足のバネで衝撃を殺したか。やるね。
No. Yeah. How did it feel, Tarvit? What did you expect?
いよいよ晩作尽きたか。
What do you expect? We're already half an hour into the episode. We are halfway through the episode, and the video is already half an hour long. There's a lot to talk about this episode. Okay, not every episode is the same. Just have a lot to talk about. Dude, still on shrooms, I see. It is but a flesh wound.
決着がついたようですね。だが、いけませんな。
Mhm.
あの者は正気を失っている。殿下、お逃げになった方が良いでしょう。
Will he though?
正気の人間がこの世のどこにいるのだ。皆同じだ。誰もが等しく愛することを知らぬのであろうが、生の意味を知らず、死の意味を知らず、己の戦う意味さえも知らぬ。
Mhm.
殿
So, what are you gonna do? I don't care if he becomes a tyrant. I want him to become a competent leader. He can be a tyrant for all I know, right? Because everyone's been pillaging all this anime. I wouldn't be shocked. But as long as he has that shift in mindset, becomes a competent leader, I think I would be happy.
もういい。もううんざりだ。
He's going to give up. He either becomes a good leader or he, right now, he'll give up.
地を得て代わりに失ったもの、
Mm-hmm.
最も大切なもの、そしてそれは生ある限り私たちの手には入らぬもの。手には入らぬ。それでも追い求めよというのか。
Mm-hmm.
天の父よ。
Mm-hmm. Oh.
哀れな戦士、最も愛より遠き者、楽園を追われし者よ。そなたたちの罰の苦しみは死より他に終わらせる術がないのか。我々の生は試され耐え続けるためにのみあるというのか。天の父よ、あなたの与える試練ではこの者の魂は救えぬ。父よ、もはやあなたの救いは求める。
Oh,
あなた
interesting.
が与えてくれぬなら、我々の手でこの地上に再びの楽園を。
I like that. I like that, especially because he is someone who is going to become a king, a leader. He has to have that mindset to give a good life to his citizens, regardless of what religion they belong to. Right. That is the mindset that ideally he would have. If he wants to make a theocracy, then that is what it will be. We'll see how it goes.
俺、王子。
王子、無事か。やめんかバカ者。これ以上無益な争いをするな。無益？
What do you think is going to happen, dude? And I like these guys.
深手玉、大丈夫か。
なかったぜ。
動くな。腹をやられている。ビリバルド、この者の手当てをしておけ。私は散った馬を捕まえる。そなた、手伝え。
殿下、私は奇跡を見ました。
黙って手当てにかかれ。
Thank you, please.
おい、王子、どこ行く気だよ。あんたはトルケル軍に引き渡す。でないと俺の仲間が。
Are you dumb,
元
dude?
よりトルケルのところへ行くつもりだ。連中にそりを借りねば、その怪我人は運べぬ。
なんか寝言抜かすんじゃねえぞ。何のためにズタボロになったと思ってんだボケ。てめえがトルケルに捕まっちまったら意味ねえんだよ。
意味だと。そなたたちの戦いのか。こんな戦いに意味などない。
All this wouldn't have happened if you would have been smart from the beginning. Okay, you don't get to turn around and moral police and preach them when they have been doing everything they can to save your life, except killing the guy. That's a different one. But you don't get to be on a high horse right now and preach, and all this mess, all this shit is because of you.
だからもう死ぬな。戦士たちよ、私の家臣になれ。戦わねばならぬ時と相手を教えてやろう。そなたたちの戦いに生と死に意味を与えてやろう。
At least I'm hoping he'll be competent from now, at least.
それが王の務めだ。
Thank God. Thank God he's finally he has some common sense. Thank you. Anyway, it was an interesting episode. I feel like I yapped a lot this episode because like, they kept bringing up like very interesting topics that that kind of were like on a serious note. So I just tried to cover them without being too boring, too deep. I don't. I tried. Okay. Um, so now that the prince is competent, we're excited to see what is going to do next episode. Hopefully, we'll get to see some good statecraft, good politics. Right. I also like some a good political drama. I'm hoping to see some of that. That is episode 18. He is finally out of the cradle. See you guys with episode 19 tomorrow, same place, same time. Bye bye. See you.